And we're live.
Boom.
That
That's how
was
it's done.
professional. That's how
That's
it's
how
done.
it's done. You go live and you start talking.
Now we're
You
here
don't
with the
need to.
people.
Yeah. Do y'all want us to do a thing? Because there's nobody even here right now. But to be like, "What's up, everybody? Hey, Isaac."
But
It's
see,
just.
you
It's
also have
just.
to think about it from a recording aspect. There could be people that are just coming in right this very moment. So
Well,
now
hey,
we're
everybody.
talking.
Welcome.
All right, we're here. We're
Should we do that
live.
every? Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, we are. We're here. We're live.
How was your week
It
last
was
week? We
great.
had a pretty eventful week. We were
It was a
at, for
lot of.
those that don't know, we were at the PGF season 7. So how was your PGF season 7 experience, sir?
Man, it was really good. Honestly, felt like it went really well. The show was. Mm, in a lot of ways the best it's ever been. I think from our side of it, the production side of it, the show team side of it. I feel like, and this is just gonna be with everything that I ever do, I could have did better. I think I did good though. I think I had a good run this week as far as the job. I think I had my best season probably, as far as consistency, and my voice held up through the whole thing, and I never really worried about it at all this time, and that's definitely a first. It's been a problem for every other
Trying to
season.
maintain your voice for the whole week.
Yeah, to know how to do the thing or not, or when to how to turn it up or different things, and so yeah, just like a lot of stuff got cleaned up. We got better at things that we weren't as good at, and we hired. We had the audio person now this season. We've never had that, and I assume
That
that
was a
was a
game changer.
yeah for me. It was
Rewatching it.
I haven't really watched it yet. I haven't really taken the time because trying to decompress from it a little bit. Still doing the stuff that we're doing with shows or whatever like this. Um, but yeah, having that like lead in and already knowing what we were doing better this time with the audio. Now I didn't feel so pressed to make so much sound. I knew kind of how to operate better.
Yeah. Yeah. The being able to talk in your ear, I could see that be a massive change. Was I can't remember. I wasn't on that end of the table. Keelan was able to like pick up a microphone like this and talk to you, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
That was a little bit harder.
I don't think that was, and so all things considered, great season. Again, I think that was one of the things for me that could be done better. Is some of that communication to me somehow
Right.
directly. Uh, you know, everybody's kind of doing what they're doing, and at different points in the show, sometimes
Yeah.
things are happening, and his attention can't be on me specifically
Yeah.
in that moment, but that's because he trusts that I'm going to be there. He knows that I'll
Well,
be ready.
this time you could hear the broadcast, so you could at least be somewhat queued up because if you were paying attention. But I know how that is sometimes when things are live and going on, and you're trying to pay attention to multiple things. Sometimes you can't tell what they're talking about because you weren't quite in the conversation. You're like, wait, was that me?
Yeah, I definitely jumped in front of the fantasy corner, Jason and Egg, one time because TJ was trying to cue them up, but I was Eddie was telling me something or talking to me about something, Eddie Bravo, and I was obviously trying to give him my full attention when he was, talking to me or whatever, uh, and I was listening, and so I was trying to wait for the thing, and so then
Right.
like we were saying, is I kind of I've picked up on TJ's cadence or maybe the phrasing that he starts using as he's starting to tee it up, to send it to me, I guess, or to people. And so I heard that and I thought I was late. And so I just turned and, got the mic on and jumped into the next one. And then as I started saying it, I heard him say, "Oh, I guess we're not going to go to the fantasy corner. We're going to be with Steven Egan." And it's too late now,
Live
son.
TV, baby.
We
It's live
gone. We
TV.
out here, And so like stuff like that, I feel like could be maybe cleaned up with that kind of thing to where there's a clear direction of that. But I know we're kind of flying it by our pants on live TV. It's kind of hard to have an exact switch that you can say as to where if we were doing something that was totally scripted, it would be like, all right, when he says this line, that's when that we're gonna give it to you, and it just
Yeah.
that doesn't exist because sometimes it could be anything happening, and
Well,
who
usually
knows?
what'll happen on like a bigger production and things like that, where you have it's like it's a personnel thing. I mean, all along that's what all of our limitations have gotten to be at some point is that like there's only so many people that can be paying attention to things at once, and it's like I think was it on our show or was it on the post show? It might have been on the post show where Keelan was making the statement, but it was basically like, "Hey guys, there's 6 people back here."
Behind
Like,
it.
yeah, yeah. And so it's like, this stuff a lot sometimes, especially like I've seen it live shows like UFC or even like you talk about like the NFL or like a boxing like event, like there's a guy or a lady that their entire job is to just stand there next to you and be on comms listening to like what's going on and telling you what to do. That's one job.
Mm. And so yeah, that you know I don't know that. I've only done this and then CJI, which
Right.
was different but similar in the way that I was kind of just left mostly to my own devices, but
Yeah.
they were in my ear giving me like coming to you, Steven, 3, 2, or
Yeah.
whatever. But then sometimes I didn't have the information from them I needed yet either
Yeah.
because it was a brand new thing again. Nobody really knew what
Well,
you
and
needed.
a lot of people don't realize too is that like CJI, even though it was a bigger promotion, quote unquote, like the bigger like that type of stuff. Like I knew a lot of the guys that were on the back end of the production, and they had some of the like big name like producers or directors or people that have like done some big stuff, but they were limited by staff the same way that a lot of the jujitsu
Mm.
shows are. Like they didn't have enough of like what I was talking about. Like I said, there's a guy that his whole job is just to roll up the cords. That's it.
Yeah, and we kind of did CJI on a favor as well. Kind of to help the cause and to help the show
The culture.
get over. Yeah, because the money was going to the athletes.
Yeah.
And you've known me. I'm a big time like advocate. I guess would be a good word for that idea. We've done a lot of that through the Mid South when we were doing that show a lot. So yeah, I think for me that was a big thing is to try to help take part in something that was going to maybe make a statement towards that effect to where we can start getting the talent and the people who do the shows paid more, um,
Yes.
more fairly, more money. I don't know what the right way to quantify it is, but you know, a better equitable, shot at least. So that was fun.
I mean, there's the industry standards of like what people get paid to do things and stuff like that. I mean, like there's going rates for cameramen and for the producers and for all that different stuff. But like, I don't know. It's been interesting in the last like I don't know 6 months to see where you can kind of feel it in the community where like you have your CJIs, you have like PGFs, you have like a bunch of the like mid south level. I remember when we first started doing the mid south, like nobody was giving out money, like, nobody was paying people. Now like that's a pretty like standard level where people are starting to like pay out brackets, of where we
Yes,
started. So like the community's come a ridiculously long way as far as in the last. When were we doing the mid south? What was that? 2 years ago?
three,
3 years ago?
three was I
So
guess when we kind of kicked it off. I would say 3 to 4.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, like as a
Honestly, maybe
whole,
4 years because we were
has
doing
it
it at
been?
the first location.
Oh yeah, it
Um,
probably is almost 4 years.
Similar to the PGF, it just started because I something needed something jujitsu wise, activity wise to have. Uh, Brand new school, wanted some people, to come in. One of my guys, y'all, the new people to see what higher level, jujitsu looks like because there was, for new people, there is no easy way to understand it, I don't think, but going out there and maybe getting to see it at a high level up close or participating in competitions is the best way. But there was not any new, white belt kind of competitions and stuff going on for them to go try it.
Speaking of high level, but even like beyond the like, see the point you're making there with the white belts. But I mean, I was going through finding footage for some of these guys, and Ryan Aiken. I forgot Ryan had competed in the Mid South.
Oh yeah, he was our champion first.
Yeah, we
Ryan's
had
got
him
us.
before CJJ, before all that. We had
Yeah,
him. We had him on
yeah.
this come up.
I wonder where that 6 foot tall trophy is we gave him. Like, I wonder what they're
I
doing
do
with
wonder.
that.
Did we get?
You know.
Was that one?
He won that one too.
The long. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
The big
He
trophy
did.
I bought. Yep, I
He
like
did.
that. I wish more people would do that.
Oh wait, he was in the other Mid South, the one at the new location,
hmm
too, wasn't he? Oh,
The
I didn't
yeah,
find that one.
and the big one. Yep.
I got to go back and look for that one because
Mm-hmm.
totally forgot he was in that one too.
hmm He
Oh
was in
yeah,
two
but
at least, I think, maybe
yeah,
three.
yeah. That
So yeah,
that
that
was
was
an
part of the
interest.
thing too, is helping people get reps and stacking up, the game. And he came in
Right.
and got a bunch of reps there against quality opposition that was coming in, and in time he
Yeah, because he
became.
wasn't in there just sweeping up against chumps.
No, we had good quality opposition coming
Yeah,
in there for some of that.
everybody, that whole bracket, all those brackets were always good. But I mean, like, so as a competitor and as a coach, like when you're talking to people, I've seen the rooms where the guys like have like really good competition teams. And one thing that I've noticed is that like early on, white belt, blue belt, like they just start competing.
hmm
And so like from your perspective as a coach, like how I'm trying to figure out how to phrase the question is that like how important is that to someone's development? Like I know that like you don't have to compete or things like that, but the people that do choose to go down that path and compete for the sake of competing, not compete for the sake of winning, and they're just like constantly competing all the time, like how valuable is that to somebody?
I mean, if your goal is to be a good competitor, then it's got to be up there among the top, you know, of importance. I feel like, because it's hard doing that. It's hard going through that process of preparing, um, doing the competition, and then what after all that stuff too, is where I think a lot of the lessons can get reinforced better too. Both like technical lessons from your coach, but also like lessons to yourself about what you figured out that's right and wrong. Like did you do enough training? Did was your diet wrong? Were you still drinking or whatever a lot this time? Or did you try to cut weight for this tournament and didn't? There's just so many things. Did you not, you didn't prepare and still won? That's a trap. So then you may not prepare correctly next time, and then you get blasted,
Mm.
right? And so then what's the lesson there? I don't know, because then you could prepare correctly the next time and then still get blasted, right? It's just
What's in
reps.
the lesson? What's in the okay, just the reps. Because like, what's in the lesson for you when it's like when you do prepare, when you do all the right things, you follow the Gordon Ryan How to Win DVD, and you still lose.
First of all, you would spent money on that DVD was probably something that you could have did better as like a decision making process. But yes, it just is, right. It doesn't matter. That's regular life. That's real life. You can try to do your best and still come up short, because in this thing, in this competition, which is again very similar to a lot of other situations, they're trying their best too. They prepared too. They have a shot too. And so that's why I'm saying you need to have the reps in there, because then you know more about what's coming and when. Kind of, you can feel the moment better, and kind of then you can let your intuition guide you more, because you're not so frantic. It's just another day. It's just another
Yeah.
competition. It's not so oh my God, if I don't win this, I suck. And my wife and kids are going to think I'm terrible or whatever. They're going to disown me from my gym if I lose, you know, up here or whatever it is. Like, we all have those thoughts, man, at times,
Yeah.
especially before you're pretty solidified in your person, and then also with your school, depending on the mindset of your coaches or whatever, the way that they treat winning and losing and stuff like that too. So it really is. I think competition is one thing, jujitsu is another thing. You can compete in jujitsu, but you could also compete in a bunch of other things that are not jujitsu. And so as soon as you start bringing in the strategies of like a competitor, and then the willingness of the other person to go too far, then you start having to really know what the game that you play is, whatever it is too, right? So I think competition for competition's sake is invaluable. It's as high as thing as you can. If for somebody who's wanting to be, getting in shape as best as possible, learning some skills to be defending themselves and protect their family, and learning the right kind of jujitsu. Excuse me, to be able to eventually do the things that competitors do, and maybe not, you know, looking to compete, but want to be able to be solid. The 2 or 3 day a week guy. Consistently kind of person like that. That's not looking to be a competitor, but might compete eventually or whatever. It's just a little bit slower of a path, I feel like,
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
But might end up, you often will end up cleaner on the other side of that journey than the hardcore competitor journey, to where you're good while you're still kind of healthy, or in a way, sort of. You're still going to be older or whatever like that. But if you didn't bang yourself around so much and overplay everything and take those pops or whatever it was, and you kind of learn the slower route, you're still going to be good at the end there, and hopefully more healthy. There's no
Yeah.
guarantees, but definitely, if you want to be a hardcore competitor, you got to throw yourself into the fire, and you got to go get work, and you got to be doing strength conditioning, and you got to be doing mobility and recovery, and you got to be doing your drill work, and you got to be doing sparring, and you got to be getting competition in as much as possible, because that's the path. And if
You
you
want to
didn't
be
start it,
comfortable in that. Like,
yeah, and if you didn't start doing it as a kid, you're behind people who did.
yeah,
You're way behind people who did. And that's why
yeah.
wrestlers have an advantage at those lower ranks so much against new white belts or things like
They
that
already
who
know
have
how to compete.
they've already competed,
Yeah.
and they have
Yeah.
a lot of mat experience. Is competed the right word?
Compete. Yeah.
They've,
I don't
they've already
know.
competed. For some reason, when I said that, it made me feel like I was dumb.
They've already competed. Yeah. That's a
Yeah, they've
word.
already competed a lot. Yeah. Okay. They've done a lot of competing. What's up,
Yeah.
Jackson? What's up, Chris
Chris
Presler?
Presler.
There's
My
there's
man's
a
in the house.
name I haven't
Yeah.
seen in a bit.
South Dakota Chris.
We love you guys. Jackson,
Uh,
make more videos of me. That shit made me feel cool. People kept talking about it to me, and I was like, yeah, that was cool, huh?
so in I was thinking about this last week, like in the vein of what you were talking about, is that like so a lot of competing or being in the like highest realm of competition of jujitsu, a lot of it has depended on a certain element of toughness.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's not wrong necessarily. Like you do have to be tough to be a competitor and to be like that. And there's a little resiliency that needs to be there. But we saw in the beginning of the season, like a couple guys that like waited, I mean, ages to tap and ended up eating some stuff that like it reminded me of watching the old IBJJFs where guys would be on the back and they're about to win and a guy's cranking on their leg and they're like, I'm up by 2 points. Their leg goes kapow and then they win by 2 points, but now they're out for however long that injury is. Like, when do we start to see that trend change? Because I think with the PGF, you got to spend a whole week. And eventually, we're talking about this becoming and evolving into like an entire season. Well, you can't be training with or fighting with that mentality that it's like, oh, I'm going to win. Like, I'll eat that pop. like eating pops, I feel like is something that culturally got injected and then never went away.
Yeah, I I don't know the answer to that for everybody else, right? I think
Right.
again, there's sometimes things happen, right? There's certain times it's like they just kind of had you. Um, like I accidentally popped Zach Carey's arm, literally like Monday night or Tuesday night
Nice.
or whatever it was. It was a complete accident. I was just reaching for his arm, like trying to grab an arm clamp, and he went to do something else at the exact same time. And we both thought his arm was about to just like slip, just kind of slips out of there. And I
Right.
was like holding it, but I wasn't like in my mind, I wasn't like trying to even do an arm bar or
Finish
anything.
it.
I was just gonna let him roll it through or whatever, just kind of slip it and keep playing. But whatever he did, somehow it just kind of notched it, and on the way out, it a little bit, and then slipped out or
Mm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's just that moment though, very often where on the way out, there's that's the time that it actually is probably the most dangerous right there is when you're trying
Right.
to slip it.
Yeah.
And so you're playing a dangerous game when you're trying to slip things a lot, even, being light. Apparently is the sometimes it happens. That's the first time I've done that to someone, and I can't remember how long,
Yeah.
and it was like I said, I was just like, whoa, what was that? And he was like, yeah, it's cool. And I was like,
So like accidentally, like that's the first time in a long time that you've like
hurt
accidentally
hurt
finished somebody.
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Been like
Because I play
I didn't mean to finish that on you. Yeah,
yeah, I play a lot of catch and release stuff.
yeah,
I don't really go to finish a ton, or either I'm looking to make you quit through the pressure and
the attrition. Yeah,
yeah, just
yeah,
overworking you, or if you're a big guy, I wanna outmaneuver you and things like that. Um, it just depends on the person, but I'm typically never looking to hurt my partners, obviously, uh,
right.
in training. But like I say, it does try to kind of happen in those moments if you zig a little bit when you should have zagged. And again, I'm just holding on sometimes. Often I'm just hanging on to things, and then you do whatever,
Yeah.
and that's what causes whatever.
Side quest question here.
Uh oh.
When you're just doing the hanging on like that, and like you're doing it, what do you do when they won't? Well, I guess for your size, it's they will work with you. Like that when they park the bus, you know what I mean? Because like
Hmm.
there's times like I love that overhook like butterfly play like to get the rubber guard going and get that happening. But sometimes they'll just park the bus back there like halfway in and then just not move. Is that when
Okay.
you're like pushing back into them? Are you trying
So,
to get back up? Like, what are you doing in those scenarios when you talk about like just hanging off people?
well, that's the thing. It kind of depends on the scenario. Um, I definitely do this more when I'm learning. I would say for
Okay.
sure, it's not always a trying to. It's not trying to win. You know what I mean? I'm trying to learn what happens. I'm trying to figure out how our bodies move together. If I do this, what will you do? Because what I would do is not what most people would do anymore.
Okay.
Right. My
Just the evolution
movements,
of the game
it's just yeah,
or
my
difference of
movement,
you.
yeah, my movement is very specific now. Not saying it's always right, but it's way better than 90% of the world's population or more for this game easily, But again, like you said, there's weight differences for me and other people. So I know that can affect the way that you play and I play certain spots. But I think the answer when you go to that stuff is if I can't move you, then I need to move me. So like you were saying,
Okay.
yeah, I may need to scoot back in and I may play my lockdown or something or butter half or something like that. Or I may frame and try to like technical stand up and get to a front headlock or let you run back into me because you don't want me to stand up. Like that's the thing I think we saw a lot of this season at the PGF that I was excited about too is like the wrestle up created a lot, and it should, offensively for the guy who's trying to wrestle up. If you just lay back, yes, you can play your guard and stuff like that, but then it gets super lame and boring. But then when you start trying to at least wrestle up a little bit, you have an opportunity to get a counter, or people are going to grab guillotines that aren't really there, and different things like that to bring out more of the game. And so I think yeah, wrestling up is a super super useful thing to at least show in that moment right there, because they're gonna do something, and when they try to either up again with their like trying to
Yeah.
grab or whatever, then you boom, you got it right then. Or if they just keep going back and down, then hit that technical stand up kind of movement, and then front headlocks. Or I've been
Yeah.
crushing people with the gut wrench lately. Um,
Yeah, that wrestle up, we saw the wrestle up in PGF season 7. Oh, that was rough.
mm,
PGF season 7, like you saw, like with that Stalin call, there were people that used the wrestle up in a way that, like, I feel like they were still doing the problem where, like, they would wrestle up and then they would sit right back down.
mm,
But then when you saw the guys that did it right, where they would wrestle all the way up into a wrestling exchange, then that's when you would see the stalling call come off. So that was an interesting evolution that I saw over the week, because it was like, it was different than what you see guys doing in, say, ADCC or something like that, when they're just trying to, like, do just enough. It was
hmm
like, there's a little bit of an urgency that you got to do when guys park the bus like that, to, like, get them to come back in. and
hmm
and like, I guess I'm touching on that too, is that, like, rule set really kind of can determine that, on how much they're able to park on you.
Yeah, and that, again, that's to say, what are we doing? What's the game? Am I playing? Am I trying to win a fight? Am I trying to win a jujitsu match that has some points? Am I trying to win? What? Um, the rules dictate the fight 100%. And yes, Chris, wrestling up demands engagement. Because if you don't, then you're not engaging yourself now, and you're fleeing and you're stalling technically. And if you're not ready for the wrestle up, then guess what? Now you're on the bottom. Like, there's a thing that happens a lot of times too. Man, like the last match, maybe it wasn't the last match I had. I guess there was a match after that one. One of those last matches that I kind of had at the VFW down there in Nashville. Uh, Dude
Fighting under
sweat.
the bright lights of VFW.
Woo! That shit was exciting. I'd do it again. Um, Got to talk New Hope Regeneration first. Um, Shameless plug. Not really shameless. Um, what was I saying? Oh, but like there's moments in a lot of matches and stuff. Like I was doing some decent work, but then he got off a good look at something and kind of got a sweep. It took a lot of work to get the sweep on me, because my base is good. My everything's pretty tight. So I knew, he's a little bit winded, but so am I, right? But then when he finally got over on top, he did the thing where he tried to sit back and like catch a breath. And in that moment, I always try to, if I'm aware that that's what they're doing, do one more move. Like I just sit up and shove them in the chest, and then I'll be on top.
Yeah.
And they were, and then we can breathe. But I'm not gonna wait and let you catch your breath with me if I can help that, right? Like there's these mutual rest periods that a lot of people like kind of agree to
Agree
do
on.
together.
Yeah.
And so as a competitor, again, this is one of the things you would not know maybe if you don't think about that, but kind of controlling the tempo of matches and things like that is like you can really like catch people in these moments where it's typically where two guys may chill together to catch their breath, and if you
Right.
don't chill, then if you do one more movement, you'll be able to get the advantage back to your side. Does that mean you're going to get a full sweep every time? No, but that means you may be able to go from the defensive player to the offensive player now. And so you flip the tempo to where now they have to make a movement to go back even, and then your movement can go back ahead. And if they don't get even again, you can just kind of keep, tracking further ahead. So that's kind of a thing with jujitsu too. It's, and this season made me think about it a lot differently in that way too. It's like what is offensive and what is defensive,
Yeah.
and what's taking a shot really mean. And
Mm.
and what situation are you in? I guess it kind of, again, it dictates what it can be. If somebody's got you mounted, a good strong shot is just a good hard bridge and try to trap, bridge, and roll or kip up or something like that to try to really make a movement to escape. Do you have to escape? No, but you have to, make that big movement to try to escape and stuff. So I think
Right.
with that, you still make your big movement. The best you can do is end up probably even a lot of times in that scenario. You don't get to always get ahead, you know. So you move, they move, you move, they move. You want to get ahead somehow, right? And at what point will you get to do two moves to their one, or what make them wait for you to get another something in,
To where
right?
they have to respond.
They have to now start responding to you rather than you responding to them, right? And so that's the hand fight initiation. A lot of times you initiate with the hand fight, that immediately puts them playing second. You're like, oh, well, what do? You let them grab you, kind of. It's like, yes, but I'm initiating them grabbing me, which is, they don't realize now, is putting them on a behind move sometimes. So there's all kind of weird, if you don't think about it, weird strategies that you can use and implement in jujitsu. That if you don't compete a lot and don't think about it, you won't know it. You know, does that matter at the gas station? Probably not as much. You know, but does it matter if you want to win matches and get to the PGF and be a PGF superstar? Yeah, yeah. You got to be good. You got to be really good at competing. You got to be cold hearted, and you got to be willing to look at somebody in the face while you're breaking their leg, and then do it again like 11 more times.
Yeah. The next time. So it's yeah, I think that I've seen that too in some people that start competing that think they want to compete, and then it's like it's been more of a conversation. I don't know if I've ever really like physically seen this play out, because most people that I know that compete kind of finds it within themselves to be that way, like you're talking about, be able to just like look somebody in the face and be like, yeah, all right, I guess I'm gonna break it. But like I think sometimes people struggle to realize that that's what competition is, especially in what we do. It's like, yeah, we debate about these rules and these points and these things, but at the end of the day, we're determining who can inflict more damage on one another and
Yeah,
who can come out the least damaged. Like that's what we're doing. Like,
I'm going to do everything up to the point of literally basically killing you.
right. That's one of my wins.
If you
That's a
don't
touchdown.
if you don't tap, I'm going to basically kill you.
Right.
That is my preferred method of winning, is
It's worth more
kill
points.
you.
Right.
But there's referees and things like that that are going to stop it and stuff like that. So it makes it a little bit different in that way. But yeah, if we're doing this and I tap you with a choke, like you tap out, that means you just agreed that I could have killed you. You agreed, man, this guy, I was dead right there, and I'm submitting to this other person. It's like, it's submission.
Right.
It's like, people think, I don't know if that word doesn't make sense to people now because it means a move, like a
Yeah.
submission move. It's like, no, you're quitting, you're giving up, you're saying you're better, you're saying you got me, you're saying this
I'm
would have
dead.
ended my, yeah, or my arm is permanently mangled, and or leg or whatever
Right.
is permanently disfigured in some way, you know, if you don't do that. So yeah, there's a real like heavy level of violence on a base level that has to be agreed on when we're doing this at all, even though we're not going to do that, even though you know that I'm not going to choke you to death. I may accidentally choke you out sometimes because I don't know if you don't tap sometimes. I don't know that you're not still fighting it, you know, so that happens. But I'm not going to intentionally hurt you or intentionally choke you out. But I'm going to make you tap by doing it. I'm going to make you tap by making you think I'm going to do it. You have
I
to
mean,
really
you may
think.
not intentionally do it like with malice, but I mean, when I'm
Yeah,
grabbing a choke, I'm trying to choke you. Like I'm
I'm trying. No, that's
trying
to
to
say, it's
put you
like
to
I'm.
sleep.
You have to believe that you are being choked. I'm choking
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
tap. That's why you don't go to sleep. That's literally the only reason,
Right,
you know.
right.
Or I let go because I'm a nice person or whatever. But then I've learned that's not necessarily the best way to be either all the time. You
I
know,
mean, it depends
sometimes
on the setting.
I've learned you got to choke them first and then talk to them about it later and let them go. You got to let them know it's real first.
Well, there
Because
is such a thing. I mean, this could be a segment on the show, and the fact that like there is such a thing as like a nice way to do it and a mean way to do it too. Like there's a way to put some like to choke somebody and do it in a very like mean way. But see, I almost feel like too in saying that both ways, like the mean way sometimes
there's
isn't the
ways.
best way.
No, it's not. It's often not.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes like just being meaner just means you're being meaner. You're not being more efficient or more
Right.
effective.
You're not
You're
more
just being
technical. You're
meaner.
not more tactical. You're just being
Right.
rougher and tougher. We've had
Right.
that conversation a ton.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like tough, rough guys that don't have a lot of technique. It's
Yeah,
gonna
because
be
they're not gonna kill me. Yeah.
it's gonna be rough for a little bit, but I'm gonna get some real crazy get back.
And he'll get real tired.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let him
Hmm.
do all he wants to because it's not gonna be doing anything that's not but uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
And that's another part of it too. And what people call, I guess, embracing the suck. You just getting you get in those bad spots, and it's just like I'm gonna get out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get out, and I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
How do you know that? Just do it. Do you get to do it every time? No, but you gain more confidence in it more times that you try, and you do become successful by trying it. You don't want to be late waiting until the last play of the game trying to hit a Hail Mary, that you came back. Like, of course, that's like cool when it happens, but you don't want to make that happen, you know.
Well, that's that
Um,
blue belt trap where you find like the old Hail Mary that works, and you're like, well, then I'm just gonna let him all the way past
I'm
guard
gonna
into
let
mount.
him
I
mount
got this
me.
thing.
Yep. And then you go against the guy who doesn't do that dumb stuff, and then you
Right.
stay there forever, and it's over. Right? Some dude's butt in your face. So
Yeah, that happens. That
it
that's
does.
that's a very real like possibility. Like when in your, because some people think too like you get good at jujitsu and then like shit like that never happens.
What
Like
never happens?
like the stuff like that. Like the like people don't just get on top of you and you're just like, well, this is where I die. Like you don't get stuck there forever. When's the last time since you like crossed that bridge that you like got stuck under somebody or got stuck somewhere and you're like, well, I'm here
Man,
now.
Josh, when Josh came down last year or whatever, the first couple of times from when he moved down from Pennsylvania, he was a lot physically to handle. I hadn't really had somebody that big and strong in a long time get on top of me, and so it like made me throw up the first like two times we kind of got together, and then my body kind of got acclimated to it, and I was like still not like busting out of there all easy or anything like
Yeah.
that, but I was able to keep into the fight and make it chase and then starting to get opportunities back forward in that way. But yeah, it's rough, man. And that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
rough. And for me, that was just a lesson at that point too. It's just like, oh shoot, man, you're not really ready for these big dudes anymore like this. Like I used to be, that would be nothing to have a guy like that. There was always somebody like that in San Diego coming through or in the class or whatever, or when I was competing a lot like that, there were always guys in the division like that. So I had just
Yeah.
gotten super used to doing, that and dealing with it. And it didn't bother me. But now, shoot, it had been 3, 4 years, I guess, since I had really dealt with a true like heavyweight on any consistency.
Yeah.
And so,
Then
yeah,
like an athlete heavyweight. Like
yeah,
that's a
and then what that
different
make it
thing.
makes a
Yeah.
difference
Yeah.
when that guy's got 30 or 40 pounds on you and he's good and he's
Oh
just
yeah.
as good,
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
knows what you know. Like that's what I'm saying. Size matters a lot when the skill sets are close. And,
Yeah.
if there's a big skill gap, then yeah, be 400 pounds. I'm coming for you. But like if you're just as good as I am and you're big, athletic dude, it's gonna suck. I still am crazy to think I'm gonna win. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna definitely think I'm gonna win every time. And people say what they want to say. That's part of competing too. Is like you got to be delusional. So when you see interviews or you hear people talking before matches and things like that, man, you got to lie to yourself. You got to
You
say
got to
those
believe
things.
it. Yep.
Yeah, if you don't believe it, nobody else does. Just
Yeah.
like the sexiest podcast you've ever stumbled upon, Burton. You know it's true though, right? I believe that for a
It's
long
true.
time, for a long time. So no, it's good to see you, Travis, another local homie. And see, Travis,
Yeah.
so he could testify to that too. He came in to an open mat, and he's been training. I was a purple belt, and he was a white belt. I think when he was a white belt when he started for sure. I think I was a purple belt when he was a white belt.
Right. I got you. I followed.
But now he's a black belt and has his own school, and he's really good, And we rolled, and it's a really good roll at the open mat or whatever. And he's like, man, I thought I was just gonna be, better than that. It's like, but I'm way bigger than he is,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that mattered. and I'm still several years advanced in that way. Well, kind of, even though we're both black belts, just like there's some black belts that when I go get with them, they put me in my place. Like we were
Yeah.
talking, it just happens like that, and it was like, but you are better. Like that was hard. That wasn't easy to do. Whatever happened or whatever it was like you made me work for it. Yeah, one day, Travis, just not 2 day. That's the thing. You just keep that's the goal. There's a bar that everybody needs to have that you can
Yeah.
try to chase. And so I'm happy to be that for some people. Um, yeah,
Do you have the bars
but
out there
you
that
are
you
way
still
better than you ever
chase?
were, Travis. So that's the thing, huh? Do I have people I'm chasing still?
Like, do you have that bar that you still chase of people, or are you more like in a different like path on that? Because they're like what you were trying to say. I was kind of trying to tee you up there. Was that like the at some point? I mean, does Hoist Gracie still chase people, or does Hodger still chase people, or is he just developing what is in front of him and developing what is that transition? Does that question make sense?
So I think at this point, what I've realized is that all of those other people now, you're not chasing the physical victory in that way anymore because they're older. They're too old now for that to
They're
mean
not chasing
anything.
the competition
It
thing.
doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I was gonna go out here, these guys are all 50 something or 60 now, and so like going out there and putting it on them one good time doesn't have the same feeling that it would have had 15 years ago when I was a white belt and they were a purple belt and they were running me every day for a year or two or whatever before I could even get close to anything on them. Um, but now they're all older and don't really care. And so they'll just be like, yeah, ha ha ha. I say, well, that took all the fun out of this, you know? So, but that's the lesson that I've learned from it too is just like, yeah, young guy, come on, you can get it. And like I've told,
yeah.
there's guys that have come and tapped me out or whatever sometimes. And it's just like, man, you're going really crazy to get that. And okay, if we were going, or if I actually didn't, if I wanted to stop you, I would have stopped you way before, like it would have ever
We
went
just
to.
wouldn't have played the game. We would
I
have
just
just
never would
been
have played the
stuck.
game with
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
and like that's not to say that I can't be beat again, but there's just people that have won in training and they don't realize that's what it is it's just
yeah,
training
yeah.
and it's not winning and losing exactly. Again, like I was saying about the holding on to stuff, sometimes I just hold on to stuff to see what's going to happen. And if you
Just
make
let
a good
people wild
move,
out. Yeah,
yeah, if you make a good move, you got me. Oh shoot, okay, that happens. Okay, there, if you just hold on to this, they will get your back or they will have an arm bar or they will, so don't hang on to this ever when you have that real time or hang on to it long enough to get them to commit to that. And then now I know the counter that I need to switch to. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't let somebody catch me. And I'm not letting you
play
per
the whole
se.
thing, but let
Yeah,
it
I'm
play
just,
out. Yeah,
yeah, like I want to see what happens.
yeah.
Um, and so now I don't care. I want to win per se, but like I don't care to win. And if I did, like I said, it wouldn't really mean anything against those guys now. But I'm still going to keep beating Burton, Travis Burton. I'm going to keep beating him as much as I can. Just want to say that.
But I mean, that's where you find like the exploration too of things. Like you can kind of like explore your different like games and things all the way through if you actually play the whole game. Because that's where you see a lot of guys will get like, say they get, I don't know, going super specific, but like the old school guys, the way they got with lockdown, they would like, guys would swear by it. Like it was the easiest. They could sweep you, they could do whatever they wanted, anything like that. But as soon as everybody started figuring out how to like navigate around it, you saw some of these like when I was coming along, like as I was a blue belt and whatnot, some of the older like black belts and brown belts were playing lockdown games that like as a blue belt that was an athlete that was willing to just like muscle
Eat it.
through stuff. Yeah, they would get stuck on their back. And then there was no real evolution out of it until I got to like for me, like understanding lockdown and understanding that like half guard play or deep half play, I didn't really quite understand it to the full extent until I got introduced to the way that like the 10th Planet system addressed it. And then like all the different things that plugged in, and then you move into dogfight, you'd be able to create all these other opportunities to get back to top. It was like, oh, well, it's got to evolve past just I've got lockdown, waiter sweep. There's got to be more.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a big part of everything, right? 10 years ago, things worked and they still work today, but now everybody knows what it is. 10 years ago,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
wasn't as tuned in, but it's still the same mechanism, and like in Travis's other comment there, this started focusing on something after the Damian Meyer seminar. So I went to the Damian Meyer seminar the Wednesday before PGF. He was at Miller Martial Arts here in Bon Air, I think is where it's at technically. Cole Miller spot, good homie, another, local homie, uh, brought Damian Maya in on a Wednesday night for a seminar. I was like, I think I should be there. I think that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good opportunity. Um, but when I got there, I was like, oh, this is my game. Like he literally was teaching, not like word for word, but maybe concept for concept. A lot of what I do and where, spots to hang out, spots to make them do work, things like that. Passing for no gi versus the way people want to pass in the gi, how different some of those spots are. And then the half guard, which was a specialty of his, obviously from the MMA stuff, man. Everybody back in the day, you had to have a good half guard game, and deep half was pretty good for MMA for a long time. Um, and so he went over just a little bit of that stuff, and then coming up to dogfight the way that he does it, um, and then some of the control positions. Once you can get some of the sweeps where to go, and like one of the places that he went would be like that 3/4 mount spot, to where we would typically like look to maybe not look to, but where the ninja roll exists.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if you don't ninja roll, you just turn towards the head there and that like 3/4, and you have, you can do a figure four, but you don't have to. You can keep your knee on the floor behind them and keep that foot wedged in the middle there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that's where I get all my chair sits and head and arms from,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when they start trying to frame out. When I
When
turn
they
that way.
decide not to let you go towards the back path or
Well,
the truck
well,
path.
so I don't want to go towards your legs, right? I'm trying to come towards that only exists, and this is what
If you let it happen,
it only exists because he makes it happen.
makes it
If
happen.
I
Okay.
if
Yeah.
I can turn towards him and pin his upper body, his head and his shoulders, and get that going, or get his back right there, why should I not do that? Well, because sometimes people get on their side there and they start framing your head and stuff back away and down,
Sliding
and
away.
they
Yeah.
they just keep that straight arm on you over there, whatever, make you stay down, and they don't want you to turn and face.
They'll
So
try to
that's
hit
what
that Heisman escape or whatever
and
right
that's
there.
where
Yeah.
Eddie developed this at, was from that, because he was getting framed out and pushed off and the other way. And so you
And
can
so
just
he
go
turned
for
and
it.
went. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can just send it if you want to, but it's less effective that way than if they're framing you and pushing you that way, and they wind you up themselves while they're trying to recover their guard or whatever in that
And then
way.
you wait for that max tension point, and
And
then
then you
that's when you go for the ninja roll.
and that's why it's smooth
Yeah.
and looks so pretty.
Yeah.
Or it looks janky and you're popping your knee trying to force it
Because you
or
tried to
whatever.
force it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you should be turning towards their upper body and getting that chest to chest connection or chest to back connection or whatever right there, and looking to get that type of control and finish. Because again, in fighting, that would be the best case scenario. If you needed to hit them, you could, but also you can just choke them, which is final.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that way. So yeah, so that was a good seminar. And it's just the contrasts of the two things, right? My lockdown got really good fast because I had spent so much time doing deep half and going
Right.
up to dogfight kind of stuff already. And so then when they showed that, I was like, oh, it's just this. And then once I got that, then the shin to shin stuff started making more sense, because I understood that it was just a control of the bottom half of their leg, which gave me access to their hip swivel mechanism or whatever people want to call that. And then if they don't know how to
And then
play
you
that,
just follow it around.
I just start following the loop, and if you don't do that, then I got a quarter guard play that'll take me right back to dogfight or roll back or
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
3 to 5
That's where the
moves.
chain starts coming together
And it's
and
just the same three to
building.
five moves from different spots.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for these main triggers that I've seen before or whatever like
patterns,
yeah, patterns a good way to say it too.
fractals.
It's yeah, the algorithm tells me what to do next when I see this,
Okay.
specific,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, however your brain thinks about stuff like that,
I
but
think
until I
about it
get
like if then statements. Is that like
yeah,
it's like the if this then that, if that then that.
and you can do that all day long, which is the hard
Right,
part,
right.
it's
It's just a circular, like just keeps going.
and that's yeah,
So
literally we can talk ourselves into a circle forever because until you get two moves, which is going to be one and one, one and one, one and one. So
which is,
it's
I mean, that's
checkers.
where you get into that blue belt conversation when they're sitting there and they're going, "Well, what about this?" And you're like, "Well,
Come
then
on,
we're in a totally different conversation."
I'm gonna double jump you, and then now I'm in control.
What was so from last week? Who like you don't have to make any enemies in this statement, or you can. I don't care. But
Shit.
who like what was your favorite game to watch? Like who was your favorite to watch last week?
So in the moment, it seemed like Marcin
Yeah.
was
Okay.
was the
Yeah.
guy. Like he was exciting because he seemed really dangerous all the time, and he was really just kind of had that
He was a
energy.
production crew favorite. We were rooting for him back there.
But then now in hindsight, a little bit more, it was really calm a lot of the times that he was going. But Wojcik,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
he had the best game overall. Maybe besides Ryan being able just to
Right.
just shut.
I mean, he made it all the way to the end against Ryan. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's to say. So like, besides Ryan being Ryan, who that was a great thing too. But Chris being able to go through the season, um, I was looking back. I was like, I don't really ever remember him necessarily being in too much trouble at any
I
point.
think a
I know
couple
he
people shot shots at him, but I don't even really think that they
he just kind of
were.
seemed like he just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
shrugged
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
off in a way most of the time, or just kind of was really adept at moving out of it and around it, or whatever the case. Um, and then the finale, I really caught it.
Mm.
Because I was looking at the brackets and they got flipped a few times, and then as I saw the final four come up, I was like, oh, it's going to be Marcin and Chris. And he's really good at what Marcin's been the best at this week, but they haven't matched up.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'll see here what I think I already figured out a little
What
bit.
you've been
And
seeing with Chris. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
and he again just boom, just
Reliable,
nothing.
steady,
Yep,
never in
nothing.
danger. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kept it rotating. Rotate to this, rotate to that, rotate to this. They touch this, I touch that. They touch this, I touch that. They touch this, I touch that. Retract, engage, retract, engage. I don't think he
Yeah.
ever had a stalling call against him all season.
I honestly don't remember,
And he
but that
had
would make
draws.
sense.
He
Yeah.
had several
Yeah.
draws, but he never had a stalling call on him that I can recall.
Because he
Uh,
was working.
he was constantly engaging or only disengaging in a tactical manner that was defensive in the proper way to get the clock not on you. Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
weren't sitting there just like,
He was actively getting out of something when he
yes,
was being
he
defensive.
was
It was like, oh, if he
moving.
doesn't do that, they are gonna break it.
Hmm. So I think I want to go back and watch all his matches again from the regular season.
Yeah.
Because there's something to that,
Oh yeah.
and
And I mean, what he weigh? He was nowhere
he
near
was
the
small.
weight class. Yeah. So like being able to go through that weight class and maintain that type of style.
He was healthy
That
at the end of the week. He tapped. He didn't tap, I don't think, all week. But like he was, was not in danger, but I think he would have tapped and he didn't get himself stuck in anywhere he got hurt.
yeah, yeah. I mean, as far as PGF tactics go, I think that that's the most important one that guys have to take away is that like there is no moment that's worth getting injured for because you have another moment coming up next. So
Yeah,
you
and yeah, that go ahead.
no, I was just saying. So the the definite of it is that like yeah, like you can't go through this. And I had this conversation with a couple people during the week is that like maybe this is the potential to be able to like influence the training culture overall to be a little bit more longevity mind focused of that like you know if you're going to do a whole season of PGF like not just like oh like if it ever extends beyond a week and becomes like you know an actual season it's just like playing football or playing hockey or playing something that has you got to make it all the way through the season. So if I you know blow my ankle out or my knee out on week 1, well, what was it for?
Yeah, I I wonder. I wonder about that. I don't know that. I don't know how to play it every week like that, or over the long season where there's a big gap in it, unless everybody's like under contract
Yeah, yeah, I would
and they
imagine that it has
they
to become
can't
something
do
more like that.
anything else. Because if
Yeah.
anything else is going on between there, it's just the risk of everything is crazy. But yeah, I think the week in the week, it is what it is, right? There's guys that you may not want to lose to. You may not want to have a tap to it against you, or whatever, but you got to give it up. And I
I
think
mean, even
in
Alabama has had it. Well, I mean, all right. Well, there that's a bad example now, I guess, because I sort of paid attention enough to know that they're not.
Alabama,
But even the greatest football team of all time, even the Super Bowl teams, like when they win the Super Bowl, they've had a touchdown scored on them during that season.
yeah, and they probably
Nobody's
lost
ever had a
games.
closeout. Yeah,
They lost multiple games, probably too. Typically, they
well,
just got on a
especially
hot
throughout the
streak.
program's history. You
Well,
know,
yeah,
like if,
but the team that wins the championships are the teams that are the healthiest and the hottest at the
yeah,
end, not the
yeah,
people who are the best at the beginning that bash their brains out trying to prove to everybody how tough they are. Like if
yeah,
you just get hurt, then yeah, you were great, but now you're not. Like you're a bust, is what they would call you that in sports parlance. You're nobody because you got
yeah,
hurt. It's
yeah.
not cool. There is no badge of honor for that. Um, and I think in jujitsu, there's this ego, macho, whatever kind of culture thing to where also, like I said, like you don't want to let this guy have a tap against you. You don't want people to say that he tapped you. So
That he
you're going to
beat.
let him, you're going to let him pop your ankle. Okay. But that's because when this is over, you can act like it wasn't that bad. You can go home. Nobody's going to see you for a while. Nobody's going to know what happened. And you can be like, ah, no, I was fine. Like it just,
I got caught.
yeah, it
Yeah,
just
it
slipped.
was weird.
It kind
Yeah.
of popped a little bit, but it wasn't anything crazy.
I
But
was hurt on
here,
Thursday before I got there. Yeah,
yeah, but here you can see it. And then they got to come tomorrow and do more matches. And so even though you're
or
not
not.
tapping, or that's to say, even though you don't tap to the guy, it's like you let him end your season.
Yeah,
That's way worse in my mind than giving him
and
one
just
tap
being like, ah, you
because
got me on that one.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to get back and get to the playoffs and get your ass. That was my mindset, is to get to the guys that beat
that's
me
yeah,
in the regular season. I was trying to get to them in the playoffs, and I was unsuccessful. But that was my mindset, and that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. It's like
yeah.
it didn't, it's like even though they beat me, like the only guys that beat me were in the playoffs. I didn't lose to anybody who wasn't in the playoffs, I don't think. And so I was like, well, that's my chance to get them back in a time that maybe I'm more apt at my game is 10 minutes, or that time it was no time limit, I think actually.
But
Uh
yeah, your season, I think that well,
that
no,
was
the finale, like the final one was no time limit.
nah, because me and no, we were all no time limit because me and
Oh,
Matt went
all of it
like
was no time limit. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
because Matt and I went like 13 minutes. And that's yeah, exactly. And I think that was because that's when Sam ran from Elijah for like 45
that's right,
minutes.
that's right,
And so
that's right.
that's
I
why he
forgot about.
changed that to where it was only the final the next season. And then after that was like, you know what? Nah, I don't
No
think that's
more
the
time, no
move.
time limit.
It's
Yeah,
just
well,
that's just not entertainment friendly. That's good to us jujitsu, heads that want to see what happens or whatever like that. But it's boring
even
as
then,
hell.
sometimes it gets too bad. Like,
It's super
yeah,
boring.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
I love everybody, but yeah.
Well, and
So
like, I'll keep this take not too hot, but I have a little bit of a hot take, and like, yeah, I believe that all of us that have done the season have this same kind of opinion, and it happens every season. Is that like what you're talking about? Is that maybe they ate a couple pops here and there throughout the week, and it didn't put them out or in their season, but they make it to the end of the season, and this happened even before the money was involved. Because like I feel like that this season and maybe a little bit of last season, everybody kind of looked at it as like, oh well, they won the team one, so they got $20,000 in their pocket, and they don't want to compete in the final tournament because they've got money in their pocket. Dude, I watched people do it when we were making nothing, and like when there was no money on the table. Is it like it's
Mm-hmm.
such a hard week, and guys still have that mentality of like, oh well, I'm just gonna tough it out, and then they get to Friday and they're like, wait, I gotta fight everybody and probably Ryan at the end of this.
Yeah,
Ah,
some of y'all's favorite players only want to play when they can win.
yeah, yeah. There's a
That's not
lot of
just
that.
one. That's not just one of them. That's over multiple seasons.
Yeah,
Uh, there's people who know that their number's kind of called, and they're not willing to go make that walk. And that's the softest shit that you could possibly do in your entire
agreed.
life. And if that's a hot take, then turn it up. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah,
it just
finish your
is, man.
matches.
Just lose, man. Just
Yeah,
lose. Go take the
yeah,
loss. Go
yeah.
do it. That's what we're doing out here, and that's one of the things I think this newer jujitsu kind of culture is moving towards in a way that's kind of weird, or at least
But
it's
see,
not
that's
what.
always been there. That's always been there. They didn't. Nobody. They don't want to lose to each other. They feel like that it's going to be bragging rights in town, or if their students are going to do something. I don't know what the influence is, but it blows my mind to have the opportunity to compete on any level. But like competing in the end of a show and of a tournament that like you really haven't done that bad in. Like your jujitsu's shown well. Like you've had a lot of mat time. You've been out there. It's helping you grow your character and grow your people and grow your fans and stuff like that. To just like decide, nah, I
Eh.
don't feel like it. You're like, what? Why are you here then? Like, if you knew, because the people, especially in this bracket, because nothing bothers me more than the people that bracket watch and they sit there
Mm,
and like drop in and out of brackets because they see who's in the bracket. It's like, we knew who was in this bracket from the big, like 3 months ago. So if
mhm.
you showed up and then you decided that the numbers weren't in your favor and you backed out, well, you're just backing out because you're scared.
Yeah, and then that's the thing too, is that they were only coming for the money. I think some people,
Yeah.
their opportunity to get the money, and then once they realized maybe they weren't going to get it, they decided it wasn't worth it to show, that, so they'll go back to competing somewhere that they can't get paid.
I was gonna
And
say, so you're gonna go spend $150 on entry fees, $300 on a hotel room, $300 on a flight,
but they can
and
win.
get second?
They can win though.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess.
It's how you look at it, right? And that's, I think, again, that's what I say. I think some of it's just a real flawed like mentality
Okay.
from a lot of guys. They don't want to lose. They don't want to. I don't know. Maybe it's boxing. Maybe it's MMA. And this is definitely why I didn't make it to the UFC. I should have said no.
Cared about
Like,
whether or not you were gonna take the hard fight.
oh yeah, I should have said no about 3 or 4 times, and then I would be 12-0 or
Yeah.
12-1. So that's a lot different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I wanted
But
to beat them. I wanted to beat them because that's who I was going to have to fight. I was going to have to beat the best
okay.
guys at some point. I was going to have to beat
Yeah.
good guys at some point. It was going to be so much more embarrassing to finally get to TV or whatever and then get my ass just kicked and starched and look like a fool than it was in fucking Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where there was not anybody watching hardly, but this was
But it turned out you were
a
tough enough to
monster.
make it through those.
Yeah,
So like
or
it
Douglas,
almost.
yeah, Douglas, Georgia, where I beat a dude that was an All American wrestler, 10-0 as an amateur, 3-0 as a pro, and I was like 4-1. You know, I didn't even know how to wrestle. He kicked my ass. Thank God my jiu-jitsu was good and I outlasted it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
he kept taking me down, and I kept kicking him in the stomach, like feet on the hips, pushing him off when he tried to punch. He'd punch me, and I'd try to get up, and he'd take me down. I'd try to get up, try to blah blah blah. Third round, between second and third round, he stayed down after the bell rang, like trying to catch his breath, and I saw his corner telling him to get up, and he wouldn't get up. From this moment on, I refused to take the stool in a fight unless I
Yeah.
was cut and I needed to have it, because I was like, you know what, this is a thing. Again, now I'm thinking about this for the first time in a long time, but this is something I learned from competing, from being out there, and from doing the thing. Like, I was losing. I was about to lose this fight. Mentally, I was like done. Not quitting, but like mentally, I was like,
But just like I'm beat up. I'm
he's
gonna
gonna
survive this last
he's gonna
round.
take this
Yeah.
decision at the
Yeah.
very least. I'm gonna
Yeah.
survive it, but whatever. But then I saw that and immediately just had a rush of like adrenaline or
Yeah.
whatever that is,
Yeah.
and nothing was hurting anymore. I was fine, and we came out. He threw a crazy punch and stumbled a little bit because he was tired,
Because
and
he
I
was
took him
tired. Yeah.
down, and he
Yeah.
tapped the strikes. So
All right.
He was exhausted. Yeah,
Exhausted.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
happy, so
Exhaustion.
happy. Yeah,
What's the
sorry,
quote? Exhaustion makes
coward out of all of
coward
us.
out of
Yeah,
all of us. Yeah.
and people look at me and they see what they see, you know. And back then it was still the same thing. This dude was juiced to the gills. He had 6 packs, 235, big titties, you know, from all his, you know, bench pressing
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, no neck or whatever kind of stuff like that. And I was just like, all right, let's run it. You know, put on some Outcasts. I'm gonna make this walk, and I'm gonna do this thing. Um, and that's it is what it is, right? And so I learned a lot of confidence from that. And then also, the one fight I had, things went crazy. Was out of town, didn't have a corner man. Nobody was there to wrap my hands. The gloves I got didn't fit anyway. Ended up losing. That was the one fight I got submitted in. Got stuffed against the fence and got cranked on really, really hard. Didn't have a good response to it because I was mentally just checked out
Because of
already, kind of.
everything leading up
It's
to it.
everything else, kind of. Yeah, it's like I was ready to fight. I had a good like fight leading up to that moment, but then just kind of like brain farted, and he was
Yeah.
not brain farting. He was ready to rip my head off, and just had to give that one up. You know, it hurt pretty bad, but learned a lot from that too. You know, learned to be better prepared, learned to be a little bit more self sufficient, and not necessarily rely on a coach to have to be there, a specific person to have to be there for me to feel safe, you know. And I had that for a long time to where I kind of had to have a like a safety
The security
person.
blanket of
Yeah,
having a
right.
person
Just
there. Yeah.
something, just something. Some, you know, there was a couple different people that could do it, right? But this
Just
was
their
the
presence would
yeah,
be what the difference maker was, which is ultimately inside you, like something that
yeah.
you've got to solve. Yeah.
hmm But you know how it is. Sometimes they can say the right thing
Yeah. Yeah.
or not say the right thing, or not say the wrong thing, and that can be
Mm,
the difference, right?
mm,
And sometimes, you
mm-hmm,
know, it's
mm-hmm.
just like that's the thing. If somebody says something, you got to be able to discern what's right and wrong, or whatever in that moment, and whether you believe it or not, you know. And so I had to believe in myself.
Yeah.
You know, like I believe in the coaches or whatever and things like that too. And so if they're there, I'm able to, you know, to lean that direction or not. But if they're not there, I got to believe in myself and what they taught me. I got to believe what they've already instilled into me at this point and just go off of that. And if I die because of it, then, you know, live and die on your principles, and you know, and the things that you believed in, and that's okay. You know, you did it and learn from that, you know. So
Yeah.
I
So
think shying away from those hard times is really incredibly weak.
yeah, I agree with that. And that's like, so with in that note, like with this week and the way that you saw the guys going and whatnot, and this has been a point of discussion that you've been a part of in the seasons and things like that. And like the coaches that we have during the week. I mean, we have legends that are coaches, right? But then you have like you said, the person that says the right thing or the right moment. And I've heard it go both ways. Like last season we heard Matt Elkins talk about like Hodger's little like rally speech. Like, and we saw
Mm.
Matt come out and just start like putting up the points that he thought he was going to be putting up that week right after this conversation. So like, how much of it is just opening yourself up to where like maybe whoever's around you can give you that thing versus being like focused on this one person is the only person that can tell me the thing. Like we we we've seen that like there's so much information out there. Like sometimes you see guys close themselves off from good coaching or good instruction or because they're committed so much to just like one person and what they say.
Well, I think the answer for me in that is not necessarily that it had to be the one person or not, but
Okay.
if if I'm there, and we'll just use the same example of Hodger or
Okay.
whatever, like
Yeah. Yeah.
if he says stuff and he's getting fired up about it or whatever, then it shows a little bit of passion that he has for the thing in a way, you know. But it depends on exactly how it's said. It's one thing to be like excited and to kind of make a call out or to, to challenge your athletes or something like that. But then also there's like a thing where you can be too hyped or too
Mm,
hardcore about it, and then you
mhm.
really psych them out,
They
or
get too
whatever.
excited,
Because I'm already excited enough,
right?
and then now you're doubling it down on me right here and making it more than I can kind of handle because I was already at like red line limit, and you just put me over mentally,
And you're
and
like,
so I don't.
and you don't necessarily have,
I don't
yeah,
find
yeah.
my zone anymore. I don't find the flow state now. I'm just frantic, and
Mm,
trying to just make shit happen for no reason. And that was the thing I learned too is like those guys in my corner, especially in fighting. It's not really a jujitsu thing, I guess, but guys are all screaming and like
yeah, yeah,
slapping chests or whatever and like yelling and, I just, rah, telling you he's got nothing for you or you're like, da da da. That doesn't work for me. That makes
yeah.
me
I'm the
more
same in that way.
nervous. It
Yeah,
makes me
yeah,
more
yeah,
anxious.
yeah.
Um, like walking out, the worst thing that ever happened is somebody was like, "Well, you know, if you don't beat this guy, it's pretty much all over." Because like I was supposed to win the fight, like
Yeah,
was pretty much
yeah.
expected to win. It was the first time that I knew of personally. Like maybe there were other fights that people thought I was going to win for sure, but this was the first time that I knew I was supposed to win for sure. Like
Yeah.
not just like making it up that thought I was supposed to. And then he said that, and I was just like, "Holy shit! Better not lose."
That's like the worst thing to be going through your mind.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
hadn't thought about losing at all. Like I was
yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm gonna go win. I'm gonna go show myself, do good. This is gonna be an opportunity for me to show the growth in my game from before to now because I can get stuff off, you know. And I did still, but it was just like it threw me off for a section of time, you know. And like Boogie, Richie, he's a great coach, and in the corner, man, he's like super passionate and hyped up. But that's the thing. Sometimes he's really getting hyped up, and I can hear it sometimes, and it makes me feel more frantic than I should be, and maybe more than he is too, honestly.
Mm.
But he's just really into the moment sometimes, and so I typically lead to more of the calmer corner person is what I look for, more than somebody who's going to be keeping it completely hyped all the time. But I do also need and kind of want that other personality there too, just in case. Sometimes somebody's got to pour the ice water down your shorts and like wake you up.
Keep you from becoming too
Hmm.
flatline. Like you
Right.
need that spike for
There's like
confirmation.
it's just
Yeah.
it's hard, man. This is such a hard thing, and we talked about some of it in relation to the PGF stuff. Is like because
Yeah.
once I got good at it, and once I got practiced in stuff, sometimes I'd just be waiting for the trigger to come, and then you just be standing in the cage, and they're ringing the bell, and it never hit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah. 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 Oh, I'm in a fight.
and so like kind of like at the PGF this time, we were talking about it a little bit after it was over, and it was like, man, it felt like we were saying like rent really well, it rent really rare, and then
Yeah.
now it's not.
Went super well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so at the end, it was like, man, this feels chill in a weird and strange kind of way.
Because it's
But
not
I think
frantic.
that's
Because you're
good.
not
Yeah,
running
but
around. Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
think
think
that's
this is a
good.
good thing.
I think this is what we're supposed to feel, right? But I don't know that yet
We're
because
not supposed to be in a full panic, just in a fight, just bobbing and weaving. It's not supposed to feel like that.
all twitchy and stuff the whole week. Yeah, man. So like it's like that, right? Like you want to get to
Right.
that point, but also like for me again, relating it back to the PGF, my job is to be that hype person now. And it's like so I have to keep myself, at a certain kind of place through the whole week there or whatever. Uh, but for the first time at a PGF, this time Brandon told me I needed to calm down a little bit because I got too hyped up.
You got
You
too
know,
excited.
yeah, and I was like, wow, I must
I didn't
be.
know he had told you to call
He was like, he came to me one time. Oh, what up? The
TVO.
Alabama Brad Pitt. That's what somebody called you at the PGF.
I think it's Chris Hemsworth, or is that the other
Oh,
like
I don't know. Somebody else
beautiful
said
man
Brad
that
Pitt.
everybody
I don't
loves?
know.
I don't know.
It's just
He doesn't like to be called Brad Pitt apparently.
he doesn't. Oh, my bad, Matt.
Hey, I call him Alabama Brad Pitt. I think it was me that called him that, but then
Was that
but
you?
then
Okay, somebody else said it this week too.
I
So
was
whatever.
corrected that he was the Alabama Chris Hemsworth. I don't know. I don't know
Is that
celebrities.
Thor? That's
Is that
Thor.
Thor? It's Thor. It's whichever one Thor is.
Okay, whatever. I don't care. He's just Matt though. Either way, right?
Yeah,
Um,
he's the one and only Matt Elkin.
but yeah, at one point during the one of the shows, Brandon came over there. He's like, "You've got to calm down," and I was like, "I can't." He's like, "You have to," and I said, "Okay, all right, I must
Was it
be."
how you were coming over the mic, or was it just like the side
I
stuff that
think the
you were a
side
little bit too?
stuff, yeah,
You were too
getting
frantic.
getting caught up in other things going on and
Yeah,
more of a fan than doing my job in that moment kind of situation, which is okay to be a fan and be excited, but also that's not what I should have been worried about at that time,
yeah,
which is hard. It's hard to separate that because I love it. That's why I'm there is
yeah,
because I
yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
it
yeah,
and I
yeah.
really like the
Yeah.
game a lot that we've created and I care a lot about it. So I'm just into it, whatever's going on. That's what makes it easy to keep the energy all week is like I'm just really into it. And if
You're
that ever
actually
stopped,
excited about it. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know that I could do it for something else. I don't know that I could do this for something I wasn't truly excited about. I couldn't fake it that
something
long.
else rather than like the PGF, or something else like other than jujitsu.
Something else that doesn't make me excited.
Oh, okay, I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah.
There could be other things I'm sure that would do it too, but I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that if it's like you got to go announce this for a week, it's like, oh my God, like,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
you know, if there's some things, it'd be really fun to do, like the PGF, which is a game that I really enjoyed that we've created. So,
What was your number one takeaway for the week as we land this plane?
ooh, I don't know if I have like a number one takeaway from the week or whatever like that.
Okay.
But if I have the first thing that came to my mind is like people got to stay healthy. You got to tap.
Yeah,
You got to learn to tap. You got to accept that you got beat and that's it. Or otherwise, you're never going to be able to make it. And this game doesn't work if people don't tap.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we'll break all our toys, and we won't have anything to play with. Like, and it kind of ruins the mojo of it all if people don't respect each other enough to tap. And that's what it is. It's like you got to respect the other man and just give it up, and that's
And be
okay.
caught. Yeah,
It's okay. Like I have submissions on my record from people that I really wish weren't there, but like I said, I'm healthy and
yeah.
live to fight another day. So there you go. It is what it is. Or you can just get broken and then sit there or go home and maybe that $1,000 you got was enough.
Maybe,
I don't
maybe.
know. Some people just want to be on TV. Some people are just wanting to be on the show. They don't
Yeah,
care what
that'll
happens.
become a thing. That'll become a thing.
It already has, but we haven't really let them in yet. I don't think
Yeah,
there hasn't been that thing yet.
yeah. And the
Brandon does a
people
good job of that. I think
that's I was gonna say the people that end up coming in are people that like are even
they're
when
hand
they're
selected.
qualified, they're hand selected. Like they
Yeah.
they they came in for a reason. Like they're there
Hmm.
for a reason. And the ones that want to be there for different reasons, like you said, there haven't really been that much, but like they get pretty weeded out because like
Hmm.
if you don't play the game, it's a
You can't.
pretty miserable place to be.
Nobody
You
likes
know?
you.
Yeah, like it's if you're not there to be a part of the club and play the game and play the thing and do the stuff, then it's like, well, then why are you here? You
Yeah.
know?
So cool too. It's like we are the most like open and welcoming like club or whatever you would say, kind of in a way. If you play the game, everybody's like, "Oh, this is our favorite person,"
Yeah,
but like as soon as people are trying to do something else or not do it, it's just like, "Oh, they don't fit the culture," and I'm just not gonna bother with them.
even if they lose too, like
Yeah,
that's
no,
what's
that's what I'm
interesting.
saying. Yeah,
Is that
you.
like even if they lose, quote unquote, lose at the game, if they're playing
Mhm.
the game, you're still part of the club. You're still
That's the
cool.
fun part is playing
Yeah,
the game. That's
right,
what everybody
right.
does not understand. It's like you are playing the game.
Yeah,
Chill out. You're gonna win
yeah.
and lose. It's like don't flip the board over every time somebody starts to win. That's stupid and it's immature and it proves that you're not a professional. You're not a professional
There you
if
go.
you can't take the losses. You're not a professional if you can't accept that somebody's better today. That's all it means. Okay? Okay.
Yeah, that's honestly like, especially back when I was paying like closer attention to like the MMA world and the UFC world and stuff like that. Like I used to remember saying this, like when people would get to a point that they were undefeated for that stint, or I don't think we've had like a champ in the UFC that's like, undefeated, but like I never really like bought into somebody being a quote unquote champ until I saw him lose it and come back.
Hmm.
Because
That's
like
typically,
I want to see how you handle not being the best. Like I want to see how you lose, because like that's to me like the heart of a champion, or like whatever you want to talk about it. Like that's from being able to take that loss and being able to like put it back together and
prove
move
to
forward.
yourself. Yep.
Right. Like a GSP character or somebody like that that like
Mm.
puts it back together and comes back in, you know.
What do you think about John Jones?
That he's one that you can't deny his dominance that he's had, but it's also one of those things that like I've never really seen him deal with loss. And so like I don't really know, and the way that I see him conduct himself as a quote unquote champion, personal life outside, like I'm not really pulling personal life in there, but like as a champion it's like I don't know, like yeah, he's dominant. Yeah, he's the best that has done that in that way. But like, I'd like to see some, because there's definitely people out there that are better than him. They're just not necessarily at that point, or not necessarily in the moment. You know, like it's a weird conversation to have. It's like the Gordon conversation. It's like, well, Gordon's dominant in all realms and all these different things, but like, I, I'd like to see him go against somebody who's as good as he is, and then that could beat him, and like for him to compete in a rule set that would force him to be in the position of potentially losing, not even really like actually losing, just the potential of losing, and watching him deal with that potential, as opposed to in something that he knows he can dominate. It's like, well, that's
Mhm.
boring.
Yeah, that's not really competition if you kind of have the rules. I mean, it's not that they're in his favor or whatever like that either. But
No, 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 no.
I
He
agree. It
knows he
needs to
can win
be.
at that. You
Yeah,
know.
it's just too. He's definitely better than everybody in that game.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, good point, Egghead.
Yeah. Caleb Crump and
Cam,
Cam Hurd are some fan favorites, and we're
yeah,
not even talking about because of their
point
win loss
value.
record. Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you, that was definitely one of the people I was super happy to see be on the winning team this time was Cam.
Cam. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad
Good.
he
Good
got
to see him
paid
get his
because
flowers.
he works really extremely hard,
Yeah.
and every season he's trying really hard, and he's in the game and he don't quit, and I respect the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
Um, and Caleb, he did the same thing this season. Just only have the one season to kind of say about him, and so like same. If he keeps keeping that same thing up, yeah, like for me,
Yeah.
that's what we're asking from some of these guys too. It's like this is how you're gonna make yourself that other level. This is how you're gonna
Right.
become whoever is like all those other guys took losses on the way up too. You just didn't see it on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're at a level to where your losses on the way up are gonna kind of be on
High
blast.
definition 4K.
Yeah, but I think that's going to make you better. I think that's
No,
going to make
100%.
make you a better athlete and a better competitor being that person because now you're going to treat yourself like a professional hopefully. And if
Yeah.
people don't start treating themselves like professionals, then they're not going to make it far here. Again,
Yeah.
being healthy, doing body work, doing your rest, doing the proper eating and whatever. It's going to be different and the sooner the better because the when that starts happening, when we start having a more professional athlete base, then we're going to be able to get more sponsors and tap into other kind of things for these guys to get paid and everybody to do better because they're not going to be worried about what they may bump into by working with us in those ways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think we have to make that turn a little bit too to where we're actually learning a little bit more of what professional athletes are in that way.
Professionals in general, like not just even athletes, just professional, just having a job and
Yeah, it's
filing a
short.
W
Yeah,
9 and doing all the
showing up
things and filling out
on
the paperwork,
time,
showing up,
staying there the whole
going to
time,
your meetings,
even
answering
the ones that aren't important.
emails. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like that's the stuff of being the professional. That like there's things that you have to do and boxes you have to check, regardless of what day it is or what how you feel about it or how like there's just boxes that have to be checked.
it's got to be
But
done. So,
well, speaking of which, like true professionals, we've made this almost an hour and a half, and we've
mwahaha.
come up. Hey, I've enjoyed bringing the show back, and I've had some conversations with people that are excited to have the show back. So I'm excited to be
Nice.
back on. Currently, we're still calling it the Dream Show Live because that feels
Sure.
like
It's the
legacy
thing.
right
It's
now.
the thing, I guess. What I mean, what else you got?
I don't know. Maybe we should start putting some polls out there to see what people think we should name it.
I'm gonna start talking to my Chat GPT bot, and we'll figure out some stuff.
Well, is there anything you want to plug this week, or anything you want, like anything you got going on? You got classes back full swing back at in Perry. What you got going?
Yeah, we're running classes this week. There's a little tournament in Macon this weekend. Got a handful of people competing in. So the good fight up there in Macon, I'll be at that. Oh, team training here. If you're part of like the association, that's another thing I got to kind of again. People want names. I don't have a name for this. We got like 5 schools or whatever, so everybody's coming
Yeah,
here to
yeah.
meet and train. From the association or
What
whatever.
day is that?
The 23rd from 11
20.
to 1. Just come and hang out. I'll probably teach. I'm gonna teach, and then we just do like a open training or whatever. So if you want to bring food, bring food. If you want to bring drinks, don't drink and drive. Just enjoy yourself. Be careful. We'll have a good time with that. What else? I don't know. Share my
It's gonna be
shit.
a good time.
Like, share
Share
our
the stuff.
stuff. Share everything that I post and start telling everybody how great I am through your social media channels and help your boy blow up. Make some
That's a good.
videos. Make some videos about me. Just use
Make
your
some
AI.
stitches.
Yeah, something. Just
Somebody
whatever.
stitch in with you.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
starting to
cool.
get starting to get recognized. It's kind of crazy. So
Well, we'll be here every week. I'm teaching my first seminar on Thursday
awesome.
night in Auburn at
Wednesday
Red
night,
Wolf. Thursday night. That's tomorrow night.
tomorrow night.
Today's Wednesday.
That's
So
great.
tomorrow night I'll be in Auburn at Red Wolf teaching a seminar, doing front headlock stuff. It'll be fun.
What time is that?
6:15 Central Time.
6:15 Central in Auburn,
Oh, Opelika technically, but
Opelika.
nobody knows where Opelika is, so I say Auburn.
Right. That's why I didn't say it.
But cool. Well, we'll be back next week, and we're gonna
Yeah,
be
we're gonna have
back
some
every
guests
week.
and stuff too. We'll be me and Isaac, and there'll be some other folks that are hitting us up that want to talk a little bit too, and it'll give us a chance to do like a little bit more open forum instead of just necessarily feeling like we got to be pigeonholed into any specific topic, not even just jujitsu related. Like it's gonna be very heavy jujitsu dominated. But I feel like there's a lot more stuff that we're interested in that we could talk about too. And if you don't like it, then don't watch it.
That's the way to go. Peace, people.